Check. Ik heb geen idee hoe we dit kunnen checken. Het is live. Yes. Hello, everyone. Lars.
Well, welcome to the list review for the Bloodstorm Slaughterfest. This is a one-day tournament. It's an event not like any other event. We're playing 4 2,000-point games on one day, and it's all about the victory points. So it's all about killing your opponent and, well, not losing that many units of yourself. But slaughter is everything that counts. In this YouTube session, we will be discussing the army lists and the matchups together with Bart, who's hosting this on his YouTube channel, and his cousin Rick is joining us.
Hey.
So let's go to the first matchup. Well, the first matchup is Kirti versus Rico, Vermin Swarm versus Dread Elves. What we see, Kirti has brought a list with lots of units, a hitty general. He's thrown in an assassin. Well, that's a nice unit for this army, for this tournament. Some footpads, a Blake Brotherhood, some disciples, meat grinder, grenadiers, a globe launcher, and some gutter runners. So, any thoughts about this list, about this matchup?
Well, I know that Kirti and Harm decided together when on our way back from the WTC that they would play a very tuned down Vermin Swarm list, and this is what came out. So with regards to what they could have fielded with Vermin Swarm and what they are actually fielding, I think it's a really nice casual list. But it's definitely not the strongest, but in certain matchups it's probably still quite competitive.
It's got some nice units in it. If you look at the grenadiers and the globe launchers, they've got all toxic attacks, so that goes straight to armor, and that's actually quite nice in this tournament, especially if you look against at the opponent he's playing with some dread knights in general with heavy armor on a chariot. So those guys should do well against them. But then again, Rico is bringing dark raiders, acolytes, and a hunting chariot, so he's got enough shooting power to get rid of all those nasty units against him before they shoot him to pieces.
And one of the advantages, because he is on a raptor chariot, of course, he has toughness 5, I believe.
Yeah.
So again, toxic attacks are lethal because of his armor.
Yeah, but
toughness 5. So
against the grenadiers and the meat grinder, he also has a 3+ Aegis save because of the midnight cloak. That's the one.
So that should be safe.
Yeah, so the Dread Prince should not get charged, but that's anything in the list of Rico should not get the charge. I only found that in Rico's list, the hunting chariot is a bit out of place maybe at this level, because I wouldn't expect a lot of potential targets for this model. So I played the list similar to this against Rick. And I have a battle report on it where I have a Hydra, which really adds a lot to the list in my mind. But I like seeing the list of Rico because it reminds me of the list that I played.
Yeah, this should be a nice, fun matchup.
Yeah, I do think that the Vermin Swarm are going to be the top dog here just because of the sheer bodies that they have, and Dread Elves can't really take any hits.
Yeah.
The total wound capacity of the Dread Elves is about 30 wounds.
Okay, let's go to the next one.
Yes. Yep.
So we have Paul Hasselt with Empire of Sunstyle against Robin Visser with Orcs and Goblins, a very classic matchup. We have a prelate with, shortly a Potion of Strength on a horse, then an Inquisitor, which you don't often see normally, with a Potion of Swiftness and Blessed Steel, so he goes to Strength 5. He only has paired weapons though, so he only has 3 attacks, which is a bit odd to me. Then a unit of Electoral Cavalry. He doesn't have a Knight Commander, so these are not a parent unit, but he also doesn't have any support units in his list, so it's fine. And then some Chaff and some Knights of the Sun Griffin. And the Orcs and Goblins, they have a Goblin King on a Nasher, then another Goblin Chief on a Nasher. These are good at these points values. And a little Witch Doctor, and then just some goblins, some Nasher Dashers, a big Nasher herd, which is also very hitting on this level, and a catapult.
A good launcher even.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what do you think of this?
First off, if if I look at the Empire list, I'm not really a big fan actually, because when I look at it, the character build, it's not magic enough to be strong to put out any magic effort, and you do pay the money for it, and then you've got a couple of units of knights, and they are nice, but with something like, for instance, a knight commander, you can make one of the unit knights a parent unit, and then you can use your parent system more, which is very strong if you can use it wisely in Empire. It's fast and it will try to hit hard, but I don't think the characters will work out the way he planned, especially if you look at what other people will be bringing, because it is a Slaughterfest in the end. So I think these two characters will be easy picking for the rest of what we will be seeing.
I think mostly also the
Yeah.
Git launcher against the cavalry is going to just completely
Rack.
rip them apart.
Yeah.
And everything in the Orcs and Goblin army has good armor piercing values. So, oh
Yeah.
crap!
Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel for Paul.
Yeah. It's actually one of the 7 Orcs and Goblins armies attending the tournament, and Nasher Dashers and Nasher Herds are the thing to bring with Orcs and Goblins. You get high strength,
Good
lots
initiative.
of bodies, good initiative, lots of attacks. So that's the ideal build for a Slaughterfest. It has a high damage output and it doesn't cost anything if you lose it.
Yeah.
So I think it's a really strong army at this kind of tournament. And the Empire army, well, it's one of the nicer Empire builds that we'll see. There are, I'm guessing, like 4 or 5 other Empire armies coming around.
Mhm. And then if we look at the Orcs and Goblins, it's nice to see that he brought the Pyromancy Wizard adept, so he has a bit of offensive Pyromancy spells, and depending on what he gets on the Crown of the Wizard King, he's still a bit flexible if he wants to take something like Flaming Swords of Ruin, to try and have more combat spells, or either to lean on the offensive missile spells. And on these point values, magic can be very strong and disastrous.
Okay, so next.
Yeah, next.
Mhm.
Empire against Kingdoms of Aquitaine. Empire by Pieter Jan van Bunningen. He's bringing a marshal and a general, a great griffin. He's Imperial Prince that gives him the
Light of Sun
the
style,
Light of Sun style.
AP10 auto wound.
AP10 auto wound, a shield, potion of swiftness, wizard with divination, 20 heavy infantry, another 20 heavy infantry with the halberds, some handgunners, some Imperial Guard, some riders, and a rocketeer. He's facing off against Roderick, the only Kingdoms of Aquitaine player at the tournament, with a paladin on a Pegasus, questing ode, Belsted sword, lance, divine judgment, potion of swiftness, another paladin BSB on a Pegasus, 5 knights aspirant, another 5 knights aspirant, 7 knights of the quest, 3 knights of the grail, and a scorpion. So that's an infantry heavy army against a cavalry heavy army, and it's going to be interesting. The Kingdom of Aquitaine will blast forward and try to go through the infantry as fast as possible.
I think the Scorpion is
Yeah.
going to be a good one against
Yeah.
the Great Griffin.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I like this Empire's list better than the previous one, to be honest. But I still feel like Empire struggles at this point value to combine the arms that they normally can on a normal 4,500 point list. The Great Griffin Marshal is a very interesting character to field at this point level, but you see that the rest of the list lacks from not having any character support. So I think that there's going to be a lot of units that can just munch through the Imperial Guard like this because they strike last, and also
Probably are not stubborn.
yeah, they're not going to be stubborn for long at least. But Roderick might have a bit of an issue with this list because, well, Empire relies on being stat fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I do actually like it very much that he employed the detachment system a lot. I mean, you've got the one parent unit with the 3 units in support that can countercharge, can give some missile support. I don't suppose he had enough points. Otherwise, it would have been nice to equip the Reiters with either brace weapons, pistols, or repeater guns. Repeater guns are very nice, as I saw a couple of matches ago against Bart, if used well.
Yeah, the only thing I struggle with in Peter Jan's list is the wizard with the wizard adept. I don't think he has enough magic to be able to really get some useful spells off.
I think it would have been better to maybe put a prelate just to make the unit Imperial Guard stubborn and give him Matrix.
Yeah, something like that. Or at least get a 3rd spell in there somewhere anyway.
Yeah, now he has to take some big risks to get some spells off.
Yeah, but on the other hand, it's only 200 points.
Yeah.
And I do suppose you get the Bastard Sword when you equip with Questing Oath, because you've got a Bastard Sword and a Lance, and he's probably not a Weapon Master. But he gets the additional bonus to charge fear causes.
Yeah.
Which is nice. Divine Judgment hurts like hell.
Yeah.
Ouch. But it has to have the charge.
It has to have a charge. It's only a paladin, so it's only 3 attacks. Yeah. If you hit one, if you wound one, and the other one doesn't save, then he's probably dead. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Next. So, Rick, what do we have?
yeah, it's me. Warriors of Dark Guards with Roel Alfrink against the Vermin Swarm, Thijs van Lankveld. Let's start with Warriors of the Dark Guards. Now, this is not my specialty, so I will be looking to my other 2 mates here who are playing Warriors of the Dark Gods a lot more, especially for the items, because I'm seeing a lot of items I haven't seen before.
Well, this is actually a Makar list, so that's one of the auxiliary books. So that's
really special.
a really special one. And that army focuses a lot on shooty warriors with Vanguard and all kinds of special flee moves. So this is really cool that he brought the army. The Makar Julia is just a barbarian chieftain. He's put on a chariot, some paired weapons, recurve bow. That gives you some bonuses with shooting or standard shoot and something like that. Well, Destiny's called Titanic Might, or just stuff from the main book. The Lancers are barbarian horsemen, Vanguard. So he's got a nice Vanguard move on them. A unit of 2 chariots that can Vanguard, and if I'm not mistaken, Makar chariots even have got a march move, so they're quite fast. The Karkadon herd, it's a herd of monstrous infantry, monstrous beasts or something like that. And then you've got the Steppe Mammoth, that's a really big monster, hard to shift. So that's actually the main hitter in this army. The rest is quite soft. You have to take the Steppe Mammoth out, or you will wreak havoc at this point value to your army. Thijs has brought a Tyrant with the Doomblade. Well, that's the big nasty weapon Vermin Swarm can bring, and he's
basically auto wound or something, right?
Auto wound or something. It's like 200 points. It's ridiculous. He put him on a Vermin Guard litter. That's actually quite cool. He's also brought an assassin with a crystal ball, a Dreadmill. That's actually quite nasty right now.
Against the Steppe Mammoth.
Against the Steppe Mammoth, against the rest of the army, it's really nasty. Some Jezzails, some footpads, and some Vermin Guard. So I'm guessing Thijs will be playing the waiting game a bit more than the other armies, because he's got some more damage output from far afield. But then again, he's also got some nice big chunky units.
I would hope that if Roel decides to just go over with his army and go up as fast as he can from turn 1 on, that he would be able to push through. But I can't judge the Vermin Swarm army that well to see if that would be possible or not.
It's all depends if on the step mammoth and if you can take out the vermin guard. Well, I'm pretty sure that the tyrant will go in there. So he has to get enough damage output on the vermin guard to thin out that unit, or he has to ignore that unit, try to ignore that unit, and try to take out all the rest.
No rest.
But the rest is not that much.
Yeah.
It's just like 400, 1200 points in one basket.
Yeah.
The assassin will also go in there. In general,
that might also go in the food. I don't know what type of assassin it is, whether it's the shooty one or whether
this is actually everything he's brought with him. So it's
okay. Yeah. Okay, interesting.
It's an interesting matchup.
Will be probably decided after turn 2 or 3.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it's going to be really quick. It's straightforward for rule and
blood for the blood gods.
Yes.
Okay. Then we have Dread Elves with Jeroen Tessers, who brings a Dread Prince not on a dragon, I just read Dragon Star. He's on foot. He has the Death Kiss, which is the great weapon upgrade for the Dread Prince to give him multiple wounds, I believe, and strength 7. So he hits very hard. Normally this is a poor choice because it's somewhere in your army and then people can ignore it, but on these levels, I think people have to encounter it. Then further, he has quite a balanced army with some fast cav, with some acolytes for the magic, some dread knights. I would have chosen the Banner of Blood on the dread knights because at these low point values, you're more certain to get your charge with the dread knights. But then for the Highborn Elves, we have Mark. He has a High Prince, and that's a High Warden of the Flame. So he's going to have an epic battle with the Dread Prince and see who's going to be left standing. His units are quite a bit smaller. He only has 15 Sea Guard, 13 Line Guard, and he has 8 Highborn Lancers, which is quite a sturdy unit. But looking at this, I would say that the Dread Elves, if they manage to get the charges where they want, then they're gonna go through the High Elves in just one clean go.
I must say, I'm a bit baffled by the Highborn Elf list, mostly because when I look at the general, he doesn't have Dragon Armor, which is just a cheap upgrade in its own. Then he has High Warden of the Flame, which also gives him a 4+ Aegis save, and he has a Death Cheater.
Yeah, that is weird. I also see it now, but that is weird.
And you can't benefit from Aegis and the Fortitude save. Then he has a spear, but he doesn't have the upgrade, the silver, the Sliver of the Dawn. That is an awesome upgrade for the High Elf Prince, which gives him double hits for every hit it does.
Would have been better than a Death Cheater.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's perhaps a mistake because the rest of the guy would match up quite evenly. So if he would have brought the Sliver of the Dawn instead of the Death Cheater, it would still be in his point allowance, and then the character would actually check out better.
Well, I hope Mark is hearing this and making notes because it's one of his first tournaments. So he's a bit inexperienced at building lists or building tournament lists. And then that shows in the build of his High Prince. But then again, he's got a nice mix of different units, and should be interesting.
If you used to play fantasy before, then you could get a 4+ Aegis or 4+ Water and a 4+ Regen, right?
You could combine them back then.
So maybe that's, I don't know if you played fantasy, but otherwise it might be nice to allow for him to switch his Death Cheater for the
Sliver of the Dawn.
Yeah. If the opponents agree, but yeah.
Well, then again, I'm the judge. I'm the boss.
Yeah.
So let's go to
the. I do like the magic on the Dread Elves, by the way, because of the Medusa, she's got a bounce spell.
Yeah.
And the champion on the Dark Acolytes gets 3 spells.
He can get either Pentagram of Pain, Breath of Corruption, or the Grave Calls, but he has to choose 2 of these.
2.
But then again,
you have a Breath Weapon, and you have the Grave Calls because those are the spells you normally pick.
Yeah.
And you can use the Medusa bounce spell to just reduce the spells of your opponent or the dice of your opponent.
Yeah, so it's very nice.
It's a nice cheap magic phase for this.
And the
value.
Medusa is a brilliant chef unit for the points it costs. I mean, we haven't seen it before on the Dread Elf list, but I like it very much.
Yeah, and in some matchups it can really matter, because now against the High Elves you can use the Medusa bounce spell to give your Corsairs just this 1 extra agility, so you try to get the same initiative as the opponent with your Rending Banner. And then the Highborn Lancers don't want to charge them.
No.
Okay, next.
Yeah.
So we've got Orcs and Goblins from Bas against Harm with his Vermin Swarm. Well, Bas has brought a Cave Goblin King on a Nasher with all kinds of orky stuff. The Shady Shanking, the Tutex Guard, and the Pan of Protection Pinching. He's also
actually gives him all the saves of the other guy.
Yeah,
and everybody's bringing lots of saves, so it's a very good item to bring.
It's a really nice item. He's got a Goblin Chief on a Cave Nasher with a lance. That's a really cheap hero, but well, he's got a nice damage output. Then he's got 2 units of 23 Cave Goblins with a Mad Git. Well, a Mad Git is quite hard to shift because I haven't seen that much chaff or anything that can take Mad Gits out. A big unit of big Nasher herd, a Nasher wrecking team, some cave trolls, and a giant with a wrecking ball. Yeah, cool.
He's going to wreck stuff.
He's going to wreck stuff.
It might even work.
It might. It's lots of attacks, lots of damage output, and the Nasher wrecking team just seems like hell at this points value.
Yeah.
So you don't want to lose a unit to take out the Nasher wrecking team, and it will cause havoc in a lot of lists. He's playing against Harm.
Quick question. Yeah? What do you guys think about the cave trolls with a Goblin King as your leader? And
hilarious.
No, PSV. It's fun for Bloodstorm, right? I mean, it's everything can go wrong.
It's a Goblin list. It's just to have
brilliant.
Fun.
Yeah. I like it a lot.
Well, then we have Harm's list that's almost the same as Security list. There are some subtle differences in the list, but it's mainly the equipment of the 2 characters, and the rest is the same. So that might be interesting which Vermin Swarm list will do better. Well, again, the same strong units. You've got the Plague Disciples and the Globe Launcher that can do really nice against armored opponents, which are lacking in his opponent at the moment. The Plague Brotherhood, Toughness 4, Skaven, Frenzied.
They hit
Frenzied, they hit hard.
Yeah.
But then again, Boss also hits hard and it doesn't cost anything.
The Plague Disciples hit even harder.
Yeah.
But the Plague Brotherhood is very cheap as well. I mean, it's just about the same points as a Gnasher herd. I mean, it's ridiculous.
they will thin each other out.
Well, I think also a Gnasher herd is quite cheap.
True.
Yeah.
True.
And then the characters are really nice. Some magic and an assassin. So, do you think he's gonna scout the assassin? He can do anything with him. He can ambush him. He can vanguard him, scout him. He's got rangers.
Cave goblins have bows.
Yeah, so that's quite scary for the guy. Yeah. But then again, you've got this hitty character that's running around behind enemy lines. Yeah, pretty quickly.
Well, the footpads, I believe they also have vanguard and they're light troops, so you might as well put the assassin in there.
Yeah.
And then you have the cutter blades with scout and ambush. So you could, I think I would put them in a unit of footpads because, well, they're not worth anything anyway.
Yeah. Then use it as a blade of armor.
Yeah.
And it will be fun that the Cave Goblin King, it's got almost the perfect build for Slaughterfest. And then you look at the Skaven and you're thinking, oh crap. Yeah. It doesn't work.
I mean, it goes against the assassin and it's going to die horribly.
Yeah.
It's like, I get you safe. Oh, I don't care.
But this is going to be a really nice game.
Yeah, I think this is a very nice matchup. I'm very eager to see how it ends up.
Yeah. Let's go to the next one.
Let's see. Warriors of the Dark Gods. Bart Sass. I know this list very well. I've played it a couple of times. And on the other side, Ogre Khans, Jan van der Steen. Well, let's start with Bart's list and not try to reveal all its secrets. So he's got a Doom Lord. It's a general with a great weapon and spiked shield which he can both use. And with the 4+ Chaos Armor save and the Willow Sword and his own save and Spike Shields, it brings him down to a 1+. So that's very nice. And every save he takes, he gives it back on a 4+. Bart still invested some points in the magic, as he told in other battle reports. The magic on this point value is very strong. Then some barbarians, a chimera, some forsworn, and warrior knights. It hits hard. It comes at you quite fast, and it's a tough list. It's nice. And then we've got the Ogre Khans. Mammoth Hunter General with leader of the pack, Heart Ripper, Wrestle Spell, and Wild Heart. Not sure what all the items do, but
I looked up what Wild Heart did, and it allows your Mammoth Hunter to be a general and put some restrictions on your army.
Yeah, and lowers the core value you have to bring.
okay.
So that's quite a nice thing. The Wrestler's Belt is standard Ogre's equipment.
+1 toughness,
Yeah.
something.
It's a tough guy. He's got the hunting spear on a 2+. That's ridiculous. A shaman with shamanism, wizard at the rod of battle. So that's
It's also 3 spells.
3 spells. Unit of saber-tooth tigers. The Mammoth Hunter might even go into that unit. It is possible. I've seen people do it. And he's got a big unit of tribesmen with a champion, standard Skull of Kangat, some Yetis, and a Frost Mammoth with an Ogre crossbow. The Frost Mammoth is the lesser used Ogre monster, but it reduces the agility of your opponent. It can be quite nice if you combine charges with other units and you have a Frost Mammoth near. Against Bard with his rather high agility, I'm thinking it might bring down the Warrior Knights, well, somewhere to the level of the Ogres, but he will still be faster.
And the rest has great weapons or doesn't really care that much.
Yeah. This is gonna be really Slaughterfest. These are 2 armies totally built on close combat. They have to go towards each other. They're gonna go fast. So this is like turn 1, somebody is charging somebody.
It's gonna be a quick game.
It's gonna be a quick game. But it's a really nice build from the warriors. You've got the God of Greed on the Warrior Knights, giving them the choice of paired weapons, great weapon, or a halberd, so you can fit them out against each unit you're playing. The Forsworn, a really nice unit. Chimera, that's just a fast flanker. And the Barbarians, a big block of Barbarians, they're basically strength 4.
Strength 6.
Strength 6 with the great weapons.
Yeah. But only AP2.
Only AP2, but then again, it's a cheap, well, 400 points, but it's still
quite cheap.
For Chaos, it's a cheap unit to put on the board with a lot of bodies. Yeah, this is gonna be the biggest slaughter what we've seen this far from the matchups. Yeah.
Though I am worried about the amount of armor piercing the Ogre Khans bring. I don't see a lot. Maybe the Frost Mammoth, but
it's not a lot. But the Frost Mammoth might also be a bit difficult to shift for the case. If you can charge in the Warrior Knights, you might be able to take out the Frost Mammoth in one go, or get in the Doom Lord. But if the Frost Mammoth goes into the Barbarians,
he's gonna wreak havoc.
He's gonna wreak havoc at the Barbarians. I'm actually surprised that there are not that much more big monsters at this point value, because I think they might be quite tough to shift, and you don't get that many cannons or stuff that can take them out in one go.
Yep.
1 or 2 turns. Yeah. Let's go to the next one.
Yep.
Well, another Warriors of the Gods and another Bard, but this is Bard Rake versus Dwarven Halls from Sebastian Knetsch. Bard is bringing a Sorcerer Wizard added with Alchemy on a chariot. Some nice magic items. He's bringing a Barbarian Chief with a Warband standard. And we're playing the previous version of the Warriors of the Dark Gods, so not the latest update. The Barbarian Chief is also on a chariot with Gladiator Spirit and Icon of the Infinite, giving him a bound spell. 10 warriors with Sloth, upping them to toughness 5 halberds and zealots banner, so that's still 10 warriors, 20 attacks from 10 models, 20, 40.
Toughness 5. Yeah.
Yeah. 2 warrior chariots and 1 chosen chariot. If there's one thing you need to bring with chaos at this points value in this tournament, it's a chosen chariot. It's hard to shift. Playing 4,500 points, it will be much harder to shift at this points value. It has a damage output and it has toughness to stay. This is built for this kind of system.
No, this entire list is built to resist.
This entire list is built to resist, and
alchemy can give your warriors also +2 armor save, so you go to 1+ armor save against shooting, 2+ in combat with toughness 5. Well, every wound you take is going to be a well-paid wound, but yeah, it's a funny list.
It's a funny list. It's a fast list. It's a hard list. It's interesting. He's playing Sebastian with the Dwarven Wolves. He's got a Thane with Ancestral Memory that gives him a grudge on Shield Bearers and a Rune of Iron, giving him a 1+ armor save. A Great Weapon giving him Strength 6. He was actually guessing I'm a Thane with Initiative Agility 3, so get a Great Weapon because I strike last always. Some marksmen with guild-crafted handguns. Those are really nice. They're accurate, so you don't get a penalty for shooting off out range. Of course, also don't get the penalty for stand and shoot, so that's a really nice unit. 20 Greybeards, Fearless, Strength 4, nice. 15 Seekers, some Rangers, 1 Steam Copter, a Tech Copter, a Ballista with Flaming Shot, and another Ballista. So this is, I'm guessing he's gonna hang back a bit with all that shooting. But then again, the Seekers and the Greybeards, it's enough to push forward.
Well, I think that if Sebastian were to be able to charge Bart, then it would be a problem for Bart.
Yeah.
But no, I think it might not happen. Like these Seekers, they are completely going to rack anything in Bart's list as long as there's not going to be a massive amount of impact hits on them.
Yeah.
Because I believe for the impact hits, they're not allowed to do their grudge thing, or are they?
You don't get to strike back against impact hits, but against every other attack you get to strike back. So if he gets the charge, and a lot of the chariots are large, so that makes the Seekers even gives the Seekers Swift Ride on the charge.
Already for large.
Yeah. Bart doesn't like dwarves.
Oh, do I not?
They're overpowered and
I never said. Oh yeah.
They're actually quite. And he's got 2 ballistas. So if he gets the shooting right with the handgunners, with the ballistas, with the steam copter, which still has 16-inch movement, 18-inch range, and then 4 strength 5 AP2 shots, he can drop the bomb once, but then again strength 3 AP1. So it's all about the numbers. He might be able to take some chariots out.
Yeah,
because he still has the other side.
He has both the marksmen and the rangers that can shoot.
I think the hard part is that the warriors of the Dark Gods, they can't. Well, they've got 1 unit of warriors, so they can march 8-inch. The chariots all go 7 or 8-inch.
7 all. Yeah.
Yeah, 8 for the warrior.
8 for the warrior chariots even, and 7 for the other chariots.
So that's 8. So it takes at least a couple of turns just to get into charge range.
Yeah.
If the dwarf player plays it right and plays a bit of a defensive game and maybe flees one time when charged, for instance, with the Greybeards, it might take too long to get to his target.
Greybeards can't flee because they're fearless. That's the
same for the Seekers.
So maybe the Ranger or anything
like the shoot. Do baiting with the Ranger or the Steam Copter.
It could be interesting if he could prolong and stall so he can shoot more. But if 2 or 3 chariots hit home, then
they're gonna go through them. Yeah. If he rolls good enough for his impact hits.
Well, you still need about 3 chariots to go into the Greybeards.
Yeah. So he needs to roll good for his impact hits.
I think Bart is gonna suffer.
It's gonna be it's going to be a tough matchup for Bard if Sebastian manages to play the waiting game. And Sebastian has played dwarves for ages and ages, so he knows how to play dwarves. So it's going to be a really interesting matchup.
And I do like the dwarven bit that he only brought one cheap character of about 300 points to impress the gods.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he's gonna have a heavy lifting to do.
Yeah.
Gods are like, whoa, you're so small.
That's why he's on the shield bearers.
Let's go to the next one.
Yeah.
Yep.
The other dwarven list.
Yeah, so another dwarven list, Dick-Jan Mijnvogel. He's brought a General Tain with great weapon, 3 times Rune of Shielding, and a Runesmith, which is nice, gives AP 1 to the unit he joins with a Rune of Might, Shield, unit Greybeards, unit Marksman with Guild-Crafted handguns, unit of Kingsguard. They'll be stubborn when the General joins, so 1 Steamcopter and 1 Catapult with flaming shots.
Yeah.
Okay, a catapult, interesting. Then we've got Empire of Sonstal with Sam Jansson, 1-time Knight Commander General with the Light of Sonstal. It's a very popular item, it appears to be, for the Empire.
It's gonna come back a couple of times. Well,
yep. Just the
Stein,
ones not.
Stein also
only the first list didn't have it. Yeah. Then a wizard who is a wizard adept on a Great Griffin. With the Locket of Sonna. We'll come back to him in a moment.
Yeah, we have some.
Yeah, and then a big unit of knights with knightly orders, and they actually get the marksman pennant just to fill the core.
Oh,
yeah, that's quite cheeky.
Oh, that's a nice one.
Wow.
For those
Okay.
who don't know, that eliminates the stand and shoot penalty.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you stand and shoot on a unit that charges you with your cavalry picks, which you can't shoot, then 1 unit of Knights of the Sun Griffin, and 2 times Riders with brace of pistols and heavy armor. Heavy armor even. So those are quite combat heavy units actually, with brace of pistols and heavy armor. And being Vanguard, you can flank quite easily with them. So let's first start with the dwarf army. So again, 2 cheap characters actually. Not a lot of points invested in that. Don't suppose they'll be taking out a lot of the competition. Though the Kingsguard, it's a tough unit, and they can clean up anything else that's comes in support when the character charges the general. As I said, I'm not sure how I feel about a catapult at these point values. I mean, what do you think about Blas?
Well, you need to get the units to shoot against, and there are several lists that
I think in general
against infantry. So
against orcs and goblins, it's a very good pick.
Yeah. So for the catapult, this is a bad matchup. So he can get 1, maybe 2 shots at the big unit of electoral cavalry. That might be the most interesting unit to shoot against, and then he might pick off 2 knights, maybe 3, and that's it.
I think it also has D3 wounds or D3+1 even on the big hit, right? So you can shoot at the Knights of the Sun Griffin.
Yeah, maybe even if you can get a shot off against the wizard.
I've played a couple of times against catapults, and I'm not saying I don't like them, but with the artillery choices that Dwarvenholds have, I'm way bigger fan of a flame cannon if you want to hit big units. It's cheaper. It's even cheaper. It hits way harder. It hits every time on a 2+. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Or you can take 2 ballistas.
Or you can take 2 ballistas. So I'm not saying the artillery it's bad, but the catapult, but you've got so much better choices on hand, and then this is a bad matchup for the catapult anyway.
Yeah,
so
I would have ditched the catapult and taken a flame cannon, and the points that were left over invested them in the steam copter to upgrade it to a steam bomber.
Yeah.
So that would have been more interesting, giving you some more options to shoot. But it's a nice dwarven list with some nice blocks.
Yeah.
Hard hitting units. The characters are tough. They're hard to shift. The Runesmith even has a nice war save with the shield because he gets the shield wall rule.
Yeah.
He didn't invest in any battle runes, so there's no magic at all.
So what does the runesmith bring?
AP1.
A rune of might. That's it's +1 strength, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, but what does he bring to the army? Like it's
He-
200
he
points.
gives
that you
you- It
invest.
gives him AP1 on a unit and magic resistance 1.
Oh, okay.
So that's. But the AP1 is nice because it puts up your great beards to AP2, your King's Guard to AP3 if they charge AP4 even. So and I'm actually not sure if it also goes for shooting attacks. It used to be available for shooting attacks. If you put them in the marksman, they could go up to AP3 with their shooting attacks.
Wow.
And then that might be really interesting against the big cavalry blocks Sam is bringing.
Yeah.
But as I'm seeing this, if Sam pushes forward, you should be able to take on the dwarves.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think
These
so.
electoral cavalry, they don't do a lot.
Yeah, but
It's like when they charge into the King's Guard's going to win.
Not sure. The cavalry gets the strike first. The
then
cavalry
again,
picks, they get AP3. So
should-
they and the King's Guard doesn't have. It's the
But the
great
knight-
weapon version, right? The King's Guard.
this is a great weapon
Yeah.
version.
Yeah.
But
So you kill lots of dwarves
No,
even before. Yeah,
because the knights have force to hit, force to wound, so that's 2 or 3 wounds.
yeah, that you don't save because you don't have
Yeah,
shields,
sure.
you don't have ward saves.
Then you have 10 attacks back at strength 6.
yeah, but you should never charge a dwarven unit with 1 unit. So
Yeah.
Sam has to combine his charges.
Yeah.
If he combines his charges, or if they can give him the opportunity to do it, he will go through it. If he goes 1-on-1 against his units, well, 1-on-1 against dwarven units is madness.
True.
Yeah. It's going to be an interesting matchup. Dick Jannes won sportsmanship at Lions Open, so he's a really nice player. Sam comes all the way from Rotterdam. He hasn't played that much. So it's going to be a nice matchup.
We still have to talk a little bit about this wizard.
The wizard.
Because
I feel this guy a lot, but then without, it varies a bit. But just wizard, griffin, locket of Sona, that's it. So the funny thing is that normally he doesn't force your opponent to accept the challenge, but once he does, you give the opponent 1 strength 3 attack against your griffin. So for example, if you go into the Thane, then you give the Thane 1 attack. He has a great weapon, so he has 1 attack at strength 5 against your griffin. It might be a wound, might not be a wound. Your wizard gets the profile of the Thane. You still have a griffin to strike at the character. So any given character in the game, basically, you just completely maul, except for when they're on a very big mount. So Rick and I thought that this was probably the most powerful character at this setup, possibly. But then we realized that for every opponent that you slay, you get a bonus. And this bonus goes onto the profile of your wizard. So then the stats that you give to your opponent are going to be increased over the battles.
So that's going to be really interesting.
Yeah.
if you use them a lot at the beginning, you stack up your bonuses, and at the end of the tournament, you might actually give 4 attacks with good strength back.
Yeah, so that was quite funny. But
Yeah.
But still,
it's a good character.
It's a good character. So let's go to the next one.
Yeah.
Demon Legions versus Orcs and Goblins. Menno versus Paul. It's the only Demon Legion army at the tournament, and Menno is bringing Harbinger, Father of Chaos, Wizard added Evocation, Great Beast of Prophecy, an Iron Husk, some Myrmidians with Piercing Spike, Brazen Beasts on Centipede Legs, Furies and Veal Serpents. Well, Demons is one of the newer books. The Brazen Beasts, those are the big guys on the cavalry.
The Brazen Beasts have to get the charge. They have impact hits. They have devastating charge plus 1 attack plus 2 strength or something. It's amazing.
It's quite a tough unit. The Myrmidians is also a nice unit to bring, and it fills up its core with 1 unit. So that's also nice. Furies, just the jaw stuff, and the Veal Serpents. They're actually, I'm pretty sure they're mages, or they've got some spells. The champion has a spell. Has some magic. So he's got some spells with him. He's got some magic. He's got some hard hitting. He's got some fast units. Piercing Spike. That might be some armor piercing stuff. So it's It's quite a nice list. Mano is a really good player, but he usually plays Orcs and Goblins, Ogre accounts, so Demons is new territory for him. And we'll see how we'll do at the tournament. He's playing Paul with Orcs and Goblins, another Orcs and Goblin list. This is the Orky variation with a Feral Orc Warlord, with Shady Shanking, Tuk-Tuk's Guard on a Warboar, some Common Boar Riders with lances, Common Orcs with crossbows, 9 mounted Adbashers with Mykonok's Totem, and I'm pretty sure Rick will know what it does.
Yeah, it can turn off a magic item against the unit they are fighting.
So that's quite interesting. A Scrap Wagon, a Giant with a Wrecking Ball, and a National Wrecking Team. Those last 3 units are actually quite interesting at this point value.
Yeah.
They've got a high damage output, so that's really interesting. It's quite fast list with some shooters in the back.
Can Mykonok's Totem also turn off demon manifestations?
It can turn off runes. I think. I'm not sure. I don't think it can actually turn down manifestations, but it's probably set up in the rules of the totem itself. I can look it up in a minute.
I think it's very interesting for Paul to have brought the Potion of Swiftness. I don't know what agility, how it scales up, but I could very well imagine that this is going to prevent the Brazen Beasts from being able to charge into the Adbashers, the mounted Adbashers, because if the Feral Orc Warlord strikes first, then the Brazen Beasts, they only have a 5+ Aegis, and they have 3 wounds each, so you might knock off one of them.
Not 4? I think the Brazen Beast might have 4.
I thought they had 3, but they, yeah, okay. If they have 4, then it's more. Well, anyway. I think it's still a nice way to protect your unit a little bit. Yeah.
The Minotaur's Totem can choose any kind of special equipment.
Okay, cool. That's a good word. Yeah.
So.
Okay.
It's a nice one to bring.
So do you guys think he will deploy his common orcs wide, like 10 wide, to be able to shoot with everything?
Probably.
Yeah.
You don't pay so many points for heavy armor and a crossbow just to put them 5 wide.
He's gonna put them 10 wide. He's got 30-inch range, so somewhere behind his lines, and he's gonna shoot stuff. Yeah, so he's gonna try to take out.
Yeah, especially
as
he's
gonna thin out the Myrmidians or try to take out the Furies.
The demons don't have any armor anyway. So.
No, so it's quite a strong unit. Yeah.
It's unfortunate he couldn't upgrade the giant to a big brother though. With a wrecking ball, a big brother is.
I came in like a wreck.
Yeah, just an extra wound is very nice.
I think Paul has too many bodies for Mano to take care of.
It's what makes Orcs and Goblins ideal for this setup. Lots of bodies with a high damage output, and you don't care if anything dies.
Yeah.
True.
So that's what you need to bring.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at scrap wagon can be.
But still, Mano's list against the right opponents is also just devastating. But that demons is always just either you have a good matchup or you have a bad matchup.
Okay. Let's have a look at the next one.
So we have Albert back with the Empire of Sonstal with a Knight Commander with the Light of Sonstal. He has prelate. He goes into the same unit as the Knight Commander probably, so the Knight Commander has hatred, making him way more dangerous with the Light of Sonstal. Then he also has some cavalry, which is in this list a parent unit because of the Knight Commander. Then the heavy infantry are a support unit, so he does make use of the parent support system in contrast to Sam. And then he basically rounds up the list in a similar way. And against that we have Mario Schaeper with the Beast Herds, with a Beast Chieftain, with Argos Affliction, which gives him regeneration, I believe.
I'm gonna look up the Beastman. I don't think
Beast Lord on a Razor Tusk Chariot, nice. And then 26 Wildhorn Herd, 5 Centaurs, Minotaurs, and a Razor Tusk unit. Yeah, so generally I think that Beast Herds are also quite a good choice for this point level, because stuff like the Centaurs, they just hit so hard on the charge, and Minotaurs, they can also hit just incredibly hard. But yeah, I think it's going to be a nice list to face the Empire. It's just a shame that Albert took a Lucky Charm for his Knight Commander and not a Potion of Swiftness, I think. Because having Agility 9 then on the Knight Commander with the Potion, I believe.
On the charge, I think. I think he has 5, maybe 6.
I believe he has 6 even.
Yeah, but Albert took some pointers from Rick when building his list, so it's all to blame on Rick.
Oh yeah, Rick.
Did he know?
Rick,
Oh
yeah,
wow,
he did.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Dude.
I recognize him.
Yeah. So Rick, you should have
Yeah.
you should have advised him to take the potion of swiftness. It's all your fault.
He could have brought it.
What's your
also.
plan behind Lucky Charm, Rick?
So
why did you do that?
I don't think I did put in the lucky. Did I?
Oh, it's your fault.
But then again,
A blinding scroll. I mean, no, I haven't put that one in. No.
but then again, the Light of Sunstallus is the most broad item at the tournament almost.
Oh,
Next
yeah.
item. It's
Oh yeah,
but it's also awesome.
it's awesome because it just solves a lot of your issues.
Mhm. And the Beastman list is going to be really interesting. Give some high toughness, some high damage units. A Razor Tusk chariot that's a heavy chariot with a Beast Lord on it. It's going to be a really nice matchup.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's going to be a nice matchup. You've got the 20 heavy infantry that feels a bit off actually in the
Oh
Empire
no,
list.
no,
But,
because that allows you to play the electoral cavalry in a very different way because you can put them up a bit more so that you can allow actually your opponent to charge them because you can counter charge with the heavy infantry,
okay.
giving you a charge, 3 extra ranks, a banner,
Yeah.
so 5 combat rest.
You
Plus
might
the wounds
even
that
take the
helps you.
steadfast off.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think it's a very important unit in the list actually, which
Okay.
Yeah.
Sam misses. Well, also because he doesn't have a Knight Commander, it makes the electoral cav parent unit in his list.
Mhm.
Definitely. Yeah.
But that's Empire kind of stuff.
And then again, it's a nice magic phase on the Beastman with 3 totem bearers, so that there are 3 bound spells.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a funny way to still bring some magic in your list.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to be a great matchup.
True.
Yeah, let's have a look at the next one. Warriors of the Dark God. Flores against Oryx and Goblins Joris. So this is going to be the Oris Cup.
He was talking so much about bringing a Helmut to 2,000 points.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
and he did it. It's actually going to be drive your opponent mad to helm out at this point value. So his army is going to flit over everything because everything can go in through.
Except for the Helmut.
You know, the Helmut can't go in the gateways, but everything else can go into the gateways.
Yeah.
He brought a Chosen Lord with a Warband standard on foot with the Entropic Aura. That's actually quite nice because it cancels out enemy magic weapons and magic armors. 15 warriors from the Goddess of Envy. 5/4 Sworn with Damnation, turning them into wretched ones if they break.
Yeah.
And 5 warrior knights with a lance. Fast, hard hitting, everything Chaos does, but with a Helma it will drive your opponent mad if he hasn't played against it. He's playing Joris and he's played against it because he played against me. With a Feral Orc Warlord on a War Boar. He's also bought Pants, Protection, Pinching, some Shady Shanking, a Troll Ale Flask, a bow. Why not? Forest Goblin King on a Scuttler Spider with Basalt Infusion and Hero's Heart. 2 units of 10 Feral Orc Boar Riders with a champion, 9 Feral Mounted Adbashers, and 1 Great Green Idol Battle Standard Bearer. So that's quite a fast, hard-hitting Orcs and Goblin list.
I'm actually a bit perplexed because Joris once was asking me about what would be better, Shady Shanking or the Omen of the Apocalypse. Shady Shanking gives lightning reflexes. You can put it on paired weapons, which is very nice. So you get a high offensive, you ignore parry, and you get lightning reflexes. And in a duel, you get reroll to wound with lethal strike. So it's very good. And the Omen gives you a dice 3 extra attacks and wounds and AP. And he put it all in an Excel sheet, and his conclusion was that an Omen of the Apocalypse was better, even when combined with a Troll Ale Flask. And now I'm looking at his list.
I think it's the points cap
Yeah.
that's
okay,
that's forcing
could be,
him
yeah.
forcing his hand. But then again,
Yeah.
he could have dropped
Yeah.
something else,
Like
Yeah.
a bow.
like
like
a
the
bow.
bow or like the
Protection
band of protection
pinching.
pinching. So he could have gone full out, but he wanted some protection.
Yeah, Joris.
Yeah,
Come on.
sissy boy.
Yeah.
I'm
Okay.
actually quite intrigued by the Forest Goblin King. That's on the Skull Spider. That's a really
He played it against me when I was playing
Yeah.
Vampire Counts in the and it's an interesting character because
Yeah.
it just scouts and vanguard, so it gets anywhere it wants to. So yeah, you really have to close your battle line against it, which you can't do at this point level.
what will it do against this Chaos Army? Because
It might go toe to toe with the Helma. I'm not sure if he can make
No.
it.
no, he won't. He won't go. No, he will. No.
It will do some wounds somewhere, and then it will still have a 2+ armor save actually. So you can
It
still
can
use
pin
it
a
to
unit.
pin the force wall.
What does a Helma do in combat?
5 attacks, 25.
High
Thunder-
offensive.
Thunderstorm.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, he's
not
on
a
a spider,
thunderstorm.
so
Not a Thunderstorm. It's not a
Construct. Yeah.
construct. Yeah. Okay, so they took it out. Well, and the gateways, nice. You can implode them.
Yeah.
And put units through it. This is going to be a really fun game, and
the Great Green Idol is very nice to bring at these point values as well. I mean, toughness 8. It's
toughness 8.
try and break it, and he's got a BSB and a general. I mean, how many players can say that?
Not that many players are bringing both, and it's 18-inch range BSB even.
Yeah,
so that's
true.
That's really nice for this list.
Yeah, and I do think he needs it because of all the feral orc war riders. I mean, they
Imagine facing a wrecking team, Joris.
And on the and on the small battlefields that BSB will cover the entire field almost.
True.
Yeah.
I think the list of Flores is the 5 for Sworn with Damnation are also interesting because you really have to smack them down. It's 15 wounds with a 2+ armor save to start with, and once they break, it's just the same amount of wounds, but then with regeneration. And then they grind more. It's 15 unbreakable wounds basically.
Yeah, but Flores is actually sculpting his army as we speak.
Oh.
So he's making an entire army from scratch, especially for this tournament, and he has to paint it with less than 2 weeks to go.
Go Flores.
Go Flores. Well,
we're rooting for you.
Yeah, we'll have a look at the next matchup. Well, this is a kind of a mystery matchup. I know Peter is attending, but he's on a holiday or something, so he hasn't handed in his list. But if it goes by his usual stuff, I'm pretty sure he's bringing highborn elves with a lot of lancers. He's facing off against Levi with orcs and goblins again. Orcs and goblins, and Levi likes to bring lots of different units, and you can see it from this list. He's got an Iron Orc Chief on foot with Band of Protection pinching, Pirate weapons, great weapons, so he's a weapon master, so he can pick his poison. Some Common Orc Chief on a Boar Chariot with a lance, BSB, a shield. That's a nasty character. Some Raiders, some Common Orcs, 15 Iron Orcs, Grotlings, Scrap Wagon, Boar Chariot, and again, Cave Trolls. We're missing the Nesher Dashers. We're missing the Boar Boys. It's orcs on foot.
I think it's the kind of orc list where you go into a candy shop and you pick anything you would like.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, this is nice.
Yeah.
I do like the list though. I mean, it's got everything a bit. Indeed, we do miss the wrecking team a lot. I mean, wrecking teams are awesome, but to have Iron Orcs with a general that makes them stubborn. Iron Orcs, they hit very hard. They don't cost a lot, so they still got a lot of options they can choose from. Instead of a Gnasher herd, they tend to stick. And the combination of a general and a BSB makes the trolls a bit more controllable. Yeah,
chariots.
I like it. It's a bit different than the rest, but it's a nice list.
So
it's a very well-rounded list.
Yeah, and we can't predict how we will do against Peter, but
And also something like those Grotlings, they can be very funny when you match up with something like the dwarfs, and you can take out any unit in the flank.
and it will be quite annoying
Yeah.
to get rid of. It's still a lot of wounds to get rid of.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice list. Next.
Let's see, Undying Dynasties, Jeroen Geronimo against Empire Sunstyle Stein, the Vitruvius. Okay. Let's start with the Undying Dynasties. A Nomarch, he's a general and he's got the Ankh of Naptesh shield and heavy armor. A Death Cult Hierarch. Let's see, he's a Wizard Adept with the Book of Arcane Mastery, and one Tomb Powerbringer, Scourge of Kings, Sun's Embrace, a unit of Skeleton Archers, a unit of Skeleton Archers, a unit of Necropolis Guard, probably with maybe all the characters in them, or probably the Tomb Powerbringer and the Nomarch, a Catapult, and a Scorpion. Well, the Catapult, very nice because you can, in this list, because you can cause panic, and panic can be disastrous on these amounts. Most of the people don't bring a leadership 10 general or or a BSB, so if anything goes wrong, it might ruin your day. And it's Tomb Kings. I mean, fuck Tomb Kings. They're tough.
I can't really see where the damage output from this list comes from.
The Necropolis Guards, they've got an offensive skill of, with the Nomarch in it and the pair weapons.
6?
Yeah.
Aren't they strength 4 or something like that, basically?
And they've got strength 4, poison, and lethal strike.
So the damage output is in the Necropolis card.
Yeah.
The Yank of Naptesh makes his Nomarch the Hierophant. So that guy should take that guy out. He's got some nice magic, and he can raise everything back. So it's not that much about the damage output, but also getting the points against him. And the Sand Scorpion is a nice unit.
True.
It's an irritating unit. You can ambush anywhere on the board, so you can ambush it in front of one of the units of Stein just to divert him, or you can put it on the board straight away and then go for it. Stein is bringing a Knight Commander on a young Griffin with Basalt Infusion, Lucky Charm, and the Light of Sunstyle. He's got a Wizard on a Pegasus with Pyromancy, an Adept, and a Locket of Sana. So that's almost the same build Sam brought, but then again,
Pegasus against the Griffin.
Pegasus against the Griffin, but the Wizard, well, he's going to win duels and then he's going to flip over.
Yeah.
A big unit of Electoral Cavalry with Land Shield, Banner of Discipline, some State Militia with Irregulars, a big unit of Knights of Sun Griffin, and some Riders.
I'd like to add that I've played the list of Stein a couple of times, and we looked at this list as well before sending the list. And what I like most of it is he's really Bloodstorm oriented and made up his list. Just, I want to play with Balthazar on a Pegasus, and that's why I brought my Wizard on a Pegasus. And I won't be playing a Griffin, even if it's better, just because he wanted to play this model and it's fun. So he's really adhering to the main rule: have fun and just bring anything you like.
Because a Griffin is only 50 points more, and it gives you an extra toughness and a wound.
The Griffin is of course it's way tougher and harder. But this is a nice model. He painted it for.
He's a die-hard Empire model, and he's collecting all the models. So he wants to bring his collection to the board and play with it, and that's actually how this game started way back in the olden ages.
Remember the days.
Remember people bought models and put them on the board, and what can we do with it? And then it evolved into all this jabbering on YouTube and nonsense like that.
By the way, the Ankh of Naptesh is, I believe, the item that makes the Nomarch the Hierophant, and gives the unit he joins a regeneration save. So also the Necropolis Guard will have an, I believe, Fortitude save of 5+.
It's gonna be a really tough unit to shift.
Okay.
So this is gonna be an interesting matchup because you have to get a lot of damage output against Jeroen to whittle him down. Because everything stays there, and then Stein has
it's probably best to avoid the Necropol's Guard until you've got everything else killed, and then turn your attention to the Necropol's Guard. Just keep them occupied.
Well, basically, you have to assassinate the characters, right?
The Hierophant.
Well, the Hierophant and then the other Hierophant,
and then the
because
other
the
hero.
Death Cult.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if you kill the Nomarch, the Death Cult Hierarch becomes the Hierophant. And every Tomb King army gets destroyed by killing all the characters. How many oftentimes do you succeed?
And he's brought 3 characters actually. That's
yeah. So it's gonna be interesting what they make of it.
Let's see.
Next up,
Ogre Khans, Louis, with a Mammoth Hunter with Wild Heart, same choice as we saw earlier. He has the Auric Charm, which I don't know what it does, but he has a Death Cheater for regeneration, both Potion of Swiftness and a Tusker. And probably this guy is going to be in the unit of Tusker Cavalry, so he has 1 unit that is worth 1,000 points. Yeah. Then for core, he has 7 Tribesmen, and then he has a King Eater, Sabertooth Tiger, and a Slave Giant. He is facing off against Nick. I played him in one of my battle reports, and then Nick managed to carry the win. With his Saurus Veteran on a Raptor. Basically, this is just a normal Saurus hero, but they are quite tough to shift. Then the Saurus Warrior unit with Spears, 2x6 Raptor Riders that can always perform better than you expect them to do. 5 Skink Hunters and a Taurosaur. So it's going to be interesting whether the Tuskers are going to get the charge or the Taurosaur is going to get the charge, I think.
Yeah. That's about sums up the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got 1, 2, 3 big units on the Ogre and 2 Chef. And then on the other side, you've got Nick with 1, 2, 3 big units. And, well, you can almost see the Saurian Warriors in this case as Chef with the Skinks. And still hard-hitting unit, by the way.
Still.
But the Saurus Warriors don't need to get the charge off, so he can use them as Chef, and it will all depend how it pans out.
I think for most people it would be a game of just pushing forward your armies and see who wins. And I think that, well, for the games with Nick that I played, it's going to be more like a chess type game where he doesn't really want to commit fully to either a full win or a full lose, but tries to just get this little inch somewhere and
then blame it on the dice.
And then blame it on the dice.
Yeah.
Sorry, Nick.
Sorry, Nick.
Yeah, we all know you.
Yeah. Let's go to the next one.
Yep.
Yeah. Warriors of the Dark Gods, Bram van Raam versus Vampire Covenant, Daniel Alferink. Bram has brought a Chosen Lord with favor of Slot. So he goes up to toughness 6 if he doesn't charge.
Yeah.
If he doesn't charge that far on a Karkadon. Cleansing Light and Weirdstone, a Sorcerer with Adept, Occultism, and a War Diaz. 12 Warriors with Slot, Halberd, Champion, Standards, some Warhounds, some Warrior Knights with Slot, and a Wretched One. So it is a themed list, a bit of an old school Nurgle list.
Yeah.
We take that one out of the closet. Hard to shift Warriors. I'm missing some items I would have seen, like the Banner of Sealed on the Warriors, but a Chosen Lord is awesome at this point value. Daniel, he brings his Vampire Courtier with Dead Rise, Brotherhood of the Dragon, Apprentice, Occultism, Eternal Duelist, riding a monstrous Revenant, some paired weapons, a Lance and Shield. He's got a Necromancer with Evocation, Ghouls, Zombies, a Dark Coach, and some Vampire Spawn. Yeah, a Dark Coach.
I think they're both nice lists.
Yeah, both nice lists. Some chosen some nice units, not over the top. The Vampire Spawn, they can put out a lot of damage, but they're some kind of very fragile. A glass cannon. They can charge into the Warrior Knights, and I actually see the Warrior Knights winning big time. I actually see everything in Bram's army, except for the dogs, winning against the Vampire Spawn.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
what does the extended chassis do on the Dark Coach?
It gives him
2 extra strength 4 attacks.
2 extra attacks and a larger base, but it's because all the players used to put them on a long base because of the old model. The ghouls they're quite nice at this point value. Yeah.
And when we compare the generals against each other, if they would face off, who would you put your money on?
Oh dear.
I mean, this is quite interesting. They only differ like 10 points. This is very nice to see who gets the bets.
Both are high initiative.
Short answer, the Chosen Lord.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's tougher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, well, the Lord also has a weird stone, so you ignore the first hit he gets. And then, yeah, the Vampire Courtier has 4 attacks. If he charges, he's going to go for a lance. It's about 2 hits, and against stuff is 6.
Yeah.
The Monstrous Revenant's not going to do a lot, and then the Chosen Lord's going to hit back. He might actually do a wound or 2. He doesn't have any great weapon or anything, which I would have put on a sloth character, I think.
He's got a lance, so he's depending on the charge.
Yeah.
Though I like the combination with the Necromancer in the list, not against the Chosen Lord, but with the Necromancer and Evocation, you can soften up characters before you charge your Vampire Courtier in. He's got 3 spells in total, so probably able to do some magic.
Yeah, because with the occultism spell on your Courtier, you can also heal your Courtier later with the Pentagram of Pain. But I would have made the Necromancer the general in this list, definitely.
Yeah.
Okay. Next.
Yeah.
And that's just the final matchup, and it's green versus green. Orcs and Goblins from Matt against the Orcs and Goblins from Rick.
Who's this, Rick?
This is Rick Fowler. Matt has brought a common orc warlord on a board chariot with paired weapons, shady shanking, tactics guard, and a potion of swiftness. A big unit of feral orcs with a banner of the green tide. 7 feral orc boar riders with shields, and Nasher herd, some bridge trolls, and some forest goblin raiders. If I'm not mistaken, Matt is building this army. Well, he's digging out his old orcs and goblins. So these are all really, really, really old models, and everything's gonna be metal. Rick is bringing a completely different orcs and goblin army.
Yet also a very old orcs and goblins army.
He's got 2 orc shamans on board chariots with paired weapons. One has shamanism, the other has thaumaturgy. He's got a feral orc warlord on foot. Yep, the essence of mithril and shady shanking. 23 common orcs with paired weapons and bows, another 20 orcs with bows, a Nasher wrecking team, a scrap wagon, a giant, and 2 skewerers. So that's quite a shooting phase for this orcs and goblin army. And some nice charging shaman on chariots.
I think the warlord is going to be quite scary too, Rick. But then again, the skewerers in Rick's list are going to be quite scary to the warlord.
Yeah. But the warlord will be joining a unit, but he can thin them out.
Well, he's on a chariot.
He's on a chariot, yeah, he's on a chariot. But if he's, this is going to be scary. And Rick has a lot of shooting. So that gives him the advantage of getting out the first damage.
Yeah. But I would say that probably Matt, either with the feral orcs or with the Gnasher herd, is gonna walk over some part, at least, of Rick's army, because you can handle one of these both units, but not the both of them. And then there's the trolls coming after.
Still the trolls, the trolls.
Matt's army looks very small on paper, but it's 4 sturdy units basically, and then a unit of chaff.
Yeah, and the board isn't that big, so there's not that much room to outmaneuver them.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be.
And then the Nasher wrecking team can make quite a bit of a difference, but mostly on the orc boar riders, not really on the Nasher herd. I think not really on the bridge trolls, not really on the feral.
He's gonna try to get the goblin raiders on the Nasher wrecking team, sacrifice them.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
probably.
if they're alive.
Yeah.
Still alive. So Rick, are you up to it?
I'm not sure. It all depends who gets the first turn, what happens, and indeed, if the Forest Goblin Raiders can sacrifice themselves in front of the Grasher, well, then still both players get their point value back. But with so many bows, it's a challenge to get the Forest Goblins where they need to be. And if the Gnasher Wrecking team hits any of the other targets, I agree with Bart. It's hard to wreck them all. But if one of them gets wrecked, then their fighting potential drops down a lot as well. It will be a dice game. If the skewers hit and they wound the general, if the giants they find their mark and they don't suffer from stupidity, yeah, I'm quite interested how it will pan out.
Maybe you will just kill the Goblin Raiders and panic the Common Orc Warlord from the table.
Come again?
You kill the Raiders and then it's panic jack. Oh no, bye.
Well, the Raiders are insignificant for the jungle, but
shit.
okay,
but you get the idea.
Yeah,
you just
definitely.
Shoot off the trolls in one turn.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Though I have to admit, there's a lot of boar riders, and I like them a lot. I mean, they've got so much damage potential on the charge, the feral kind. Low initiative, but especially a unit of 7, even if a few drop down, they still manage to do a lot of hurt. I'm actually a bit surprised he brought shields and not paired weapons to get the bigger offensive and even more damage output. But it's a really nice and hard-hitting unit on its own.
Well, probably if the shield saves you once more than not having a shield would have.
It might be based on the models, so the models
it could be based on models.
Yeah.
But the main reason why I didn't bring any in my army is because I hate it when you don't manage to get your charges in. So that's why I brought chariots. Yeah, no, that's not why I brought chariots, but to have some magic, and the upgrade to get a chariot is so fucking cheap. So you can't really spend the points anything else on. And with the Wag, you still get Swiss Stride.
It was really cheap here, the chariot here.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But with the Wag, you
famous.
still get the Swiss Stride on your orcs. So it's only a 3-inch advance you get from having a boar, but you do get the numbers when you put down a block of orcs. I mean, it's 20 orcs for 7 feral or boar riders. I'm not sure which of the two will do better, but I've got the wounds, so yeah.
We'll see. It's gonna be interesting. So, well, that about wraps it up. There's no more matchups after this one. There are 17 matchups, 34 lists already for the Bloodstorm Slaughterfest.
Yeah. So thank you all for listening. Thank you for being here, Rick and Lars.
Yes.
And we'll see you next time.